Court. Call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Hampden BOS Selectmen and the Board of Health being held in Townhouse Auditorium, January 18th, 2022 at 6:04 p.m. Meeting is being conducted in person and remotely using video conferencing technology as approved by the governor in his March 2020 emergency order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is anyone recording the meeting besides us? Before I begin the meeting, I'd like to, I think on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and extend our condolences to the Capinos family on the loss of Chet. His passing. Chet and Claudia were frequent attendees to our meetings and frequent volunteers for a lot of our meetings and things in town, and his loss is we feel it, and we just want to express our condolences. And also to the Bilton family on the loss, to Robert and Mark and the loss of their mom, Rosalie Bilton, who was a pharmacist at Green Valley Pharmacy for a while. And of course, we know Bilton's Mountainside Orchard. She was always a welcoming and kind and friendly person to be seen every day there, and she'll be missed greatly. And we thank them for their support of the town, many activities. All right. Candidate for the full-time fire department. Well, no. Full-time fire department. Nicholas Bertrand. Hi. John Flynn, Donald Davenport, Greg Rose, and welcome.
I'm by Nicholas Bertrand this evening from the board to hopefully be accepted as a full-time firefighter in the fire department during Monday through Friday. We had 17 applicants apply and we narrowed it down to 11. We interviewed 7 and then we had a second interview with 4 individuals. And Nick rose to the top of those interviews. He very well qualified, and he lives pretty close to Hampden. And so if you have any questions for him about tonight, so he could answer any.
One question. So it shows that you're currently employed both at Mohegan and Shaker Pines right now.
Yes, my full-time job is with the Mohegan Travel Fire Department. I will also work part-time at the Shaker Pines Fire Department at Field where I live, in the East Long Meadow area there. They're set up exactly like the Hampden Fire Department. So when the full-timers are off, I'll fill in as needed. But I also volunteer there.
You're called there and then
Yeah.
full-time in Mohegan.
Yeah.
What do you need for notice in your other jobs, or
Just 2 weeks.
1 or 2 weeks would be okay with?
Yep.
And you'll be able to start within 2 weeks?
What are hot work permits?
Those are for whenever there's a contractor for when the casino, since it's a big property, when they have jobs that require fire, whether it's welding or grinding stuff that causes sparks, we have to go and make sure that there's no fire hazard nearby. They have the proper fire extinguishing system nearby as well. So we sort of oversee the project. So
Now, would that be something you do, for instance, for auto body shops where they have grinding and stuff like that, or is this typically just on a spot job basis?
This is a spot job basis. So when the cell was removed from the police department, I required that contractor to have a hot works permit filled out and approved by the fire department before he proceeded with work, just to make sure that there wasn't any, cautious about any.
So then an operation that would be daily is more of an OSHA thing or more of a?
It's a state and OSHA thing that there's, anybody doing any kind of torching, grinding in a business should obtain a hot works permit.
Remember, we had that chap on Allen Street who was doing welding, that was, we got that building.
Yes, Allen. Oh, the Crossroad Police Department?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, if the business is set up for it, they should already have those procedures in place. You know, they should have that fire extinguisher be part of their business plan already.
You're in Enfield,
Yes.
where you reside. When you're not working full-time and you're on the on-call,
Yep.
do you think you can make it to a call in the middle of the night if you need to? I don't know what the
Yeah,
schedule would
yep.
permit, but if he was on a
It takes
call
me-
rotation, you'd be no problem getting
For
it.
the maps, it takes me about just under 15 minutes, kind of location closer to 10. I live right, if you know where Armado's used to be, I live right in that apartment complex, in the line there. But with the callbacks, one of my former jobs did callbacks, and that was further away, about 15 minutes. When I was active on there, I made a lot of callbacks as well.
So that would be more of a major incident for him, probably be called back into town,
Yeah, it's kind of just something major.
or some kind of detail coverage along that way or something.
You know,
I'm good.
Good.
Make a motion to approve Nicholas Bertrand to the role of full-time firefighter in Hampden, Monday through Friday, following the chief's guidance and direction. Anything he sees fit.
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Gee, now that fills one vacancy. What are your plans for that? I
Um,
mean, obviously, you're gonna go through the 17 and pick number 2, or?
No, we're gonna post again in the near future. We did have a few people in our own department that missed the posting. So they wanted that are either more qualified now or wish to put in for us. So we're gonna make sure they get that opportunity to do so.
Okay.
Where do you get the uniforms?
Century in Chicopee,
You know, so.
good for the right amount of money, I guess.
Right.
Why? Are we
That's not your
getting
forte, though,
uniforms?
is
that
it?
what you're saying?
Well, thank you, you know?
We already missed a chance on COVID. COVID should pay for it.
Well, thank you very much for your
Yes,
time.
congratulations.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Congratulations. Official photo of selectmen we're putting off.
Thank you.
Shared health agreement. That's the
Um,
bylaws, actually, right?
That is a bylaw. We have adopted the shared health agreement.
Right.
We've been working on the bylaw. That, I believe, is the final copy. I didn't put it on the agenda asking for a vote tonight. I just wanted to share what we've done so far with the board. I think your decision, as soon as we adopt this, maybe next week, then we need to appoint 2 members of the governing board to represent the town.
Let's say it says.
We had a meeting last Monday. And at that meeting, all of the member towns were present. And I think we had a consensus that this is the final. Okay. I'm going to receive the final copy from PVPC in the next few days, and then I would put it on the agenda at a future meeting, maybe next week. And you could adopt that unless you have any issues with it.
So this board is gonna have 2 representatives from each member town, and they're gonna be responsible for setting the budget each year.
Yes,
Okay. That'll be their main responsibility, right? And then kind of like oversight.
correct. And you would meet, the 2 representatives would meet with the board quarterly. We talked about quarterly or monthly meetings. And I think everyone thought that
Hardly sufficient.
we have people managing the operation in place, and the board doesn't need to meet monthly.
And each town gets an equal vote.
Each town gets an equal vote. By the way, so far, I think the new system is operating well. Both the new director as well as the new health agent and the new nurse have been in town. We met with them. They are responsive when we have issues. Jane came in today to tell me that she thought it was working pretty well in terms of the interaction that she has.
I think that I had asked that we have the nurses in, I know it was scheduled for today, but obviously there were some
Right.
some issues. And I'd like to ask the board, if we get them in the next couple of weeks, so we can get their feel for
Okay.
their plans for Hampden specifically.
Was there any discussion, Bob, about the towns combining to get free COVID test kits?
No,
If it's income based, then with the 3-4 towns we have here, it's
Yeah,
gonna be.
yeah, but I think the governor said you can order them. I mean, we have to pay for them, but I was
you
wondering.
can pay for them, yeah.
Government's giving them out now for free as of today. The federal government's giving them out per household.
Right.
Right.
Actually, today I just got a website where we can order them. Not clear that we have to pay for them because of what they've done in Washington. So,
All right, just something to keep an eye on. All right, moving right along, adopted employee handbook, board and commission handbook.
yeah, you should have a red line copy of the employee handbook. I have extra copies here if anyone wants one. And then I'm proposing a board and commission handbook. Here's the employee red line. Does anyone need a copy?
Okay, let's look at the employee one.
Yeah, we have on page 15, I think one issue, and that is hours of work. Seems like we have to make a decision on that. And also the hours of work seems to conflict with the next page. It would be page, let's see, 17, where you have lunch period. Yeah, the hours of work are going to be from 8:30 to 4:30. And we're going to have a lunch period, which is paid. It seems to me you can't get 8 hours under those terms.
So 8:30 to 4:30 is 8 hours.
Yeah, 8:30 to 4:30 is 8 hours, but then there's a half an hour lunch period.
So it's 7.5 hours.
Then you're never gonna hit a 40-hour work week if you.
And we have the 40-hour work week issue. I have this on the agenda for discussion with town employees tomorrow at the department's meeting.
But most of these offices aren't open 40 hours, right?
No,
Yeah, so we have, I mean, if we go back to the wording prior to this version of the handbook, you know, was your work schedule shall be determined by your supervisor based on your job requirements and your department work schedule. So basically, it made the point that you don't have one size fits all solution for every department here.
right.
Maybe we're trying to be too broad with this, and you say it's a problem, fine, X it out. And basically refer back to the posted hours for a department.
I think I did send you a copy of the posted hours. They
Right,
are
just say they
very,
were-
they dependent on department.
Mhm.
I think the hours of operation are listed here legally, because then you could say somebody has to work until midnight. There's no shift in there, right?
But that's a contract between them and the people who hire them. That is, if it's the clerk for X office, this is what you're responsible for when you're hired.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm saying, and Bob has pointed out, we can't say 40 hours because there are so few that are 40, fine, strike it and leave it there. It's set by the job you're hired for.
Should we
It's
have
up to your person. It's up to your employer, basically. You know, if you're working for this clerk's office or that clerk's, or whichever,
Yeah.
that's the hours you were hired for.
Yeah.
And go
Okay.
back- This is the 2012 handbook, and I think maybe that wording is easier to work with because it doesn't bind you to something.
As I understand it, this handbook was updated from an earlier version by the prior town administrator.
And so I'm looking at the different ones that are on the drive here. And you also see a 13 version.
First of all, we don't have a problem. Town employees don't leave the building for lunch. At least I'm not aware that they do. Most have lunch at their desk.
Now, this one kind of says that as variations exist in some departments and some employees have work schedule less than 40 hours. Your work schedule will be determined by your supervisor based on your position description and the requirements of the department. So,
Yeah, I would say, like I said, there's so few that are 40, we should just strike that line
Yeah, I know.
and leave it.
I guess the other question is, what about Monday through Friday? The other question is, it says Monday through Friday.
And then you have other ones, the library's not open Monday
Right.
through Friday through Sunday.
yeah, the other departments aren't either. Monday through Friday.
Or they extend to Saturday like the library, so it's.
So why don't we just scratch that? I agree with John.
Go back to the 12. Just say-
Some say the work schedules include weekdays, evenings, and weekends, either, some include it, depending, right, seasonal, all thing.
Mhm.
And that'll also cover whatever was in the contracts for the highway. or
Exactly.
Okay.
Based on your-
I'll just scratch the first sentence. All right. Do we want to modify on page 17? The lunch issue?
They want to eat too? Jeez.
Well, if we eliminate that first line of the previous thing, does the lunch issue really make a difference then? Because they're guaranteed a half-hour paid lunch.
Again, it goes back to
No,
your
it's unpaid lunch.
supervisor.
Half-hour
whatever,
unpaid
so-
lunch.
Yeah.
It provides unpaid lunch periods scheduled by the supervisors, right?
If I'm taking a half an hour of unpaid lunch in a work day at 8:30 to 4:30, doesn't seem to work out mathematically.
If you're considering them working an 8-hour day.
If you're considering working an 8-hour day.
Yeah, right.
Who is?
Okay, yeah. Some are, but most aren't. Yeah.
I think, was it anything over 6 hours by state law, they need to have 2 15-minute breaks, is that state law?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I don't understand any of this.
Also, I added a new section
Excuse me for
on
interrupting.
health insurance.
I tell you, why I don't understand any of this, because I work 12-hour shifts. No breaks, no lunch.
Yeah.
And I believe that's against the law.
It's-
It's like certain
violates some
hours
type
you
of
must give a
labor
15
practice.
minute, right,
No, no.
Every 4 hours?
They,
Or is it every 6 hours?
something like that. yeah.
healthcare workers. Yeah.
Are you union too?
When I worked at Uniroyal, I was union.
I did,
But you're retired all the
I
time.
was very tired.
So some changes like that, I think it's a good thing, Bob, but I would go back to maybe sometimes, it doesn't need to be, the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Well,
I
enough.
recommend going back to the 12 version, just say sometimes simpler is better. It's good to spell things out, but maybe if you spell things out too much, you paint yourself into a corner.
Well, I did add the paragraph on the new health premium
Sure.
split. Yeah, see that?
Mhm.
That's how all this started.
You pulled one string in a sweater and there went.
Yeah, but I noticed that most of the things are really just grammatical or,
Yeah,
clarification,
Is instead of are.
Yeah. We changed the health insurance, okay, July 24th. 70% of the cost of most expensive premium plan. Well, the only thing I say there is that it says here, on July 1st, 2022, the town contribution will be 70% of the cost of the most expensive premium plan. But isn't it for all plans?
no,
That's a decision of the board. Do we want to make that change?
that's right.
It's been that way. That
been
is,
that
say a plan A that was $500 and plan B was
Correct.
$700.
Yeah.
Everybody got a $350 credit at 50%. So for your $500 plan, you were only responsible for 150. It was a great deal. If the board wants to go to it's 70% of whatever plan you choose, I think that's more appropriate, more consistent with how
Yeah.
others are doing.
Plan, we good?
Okay, so before was, we credited 50% of the highest plan offer. One time back in.
Oh, I see. So if you had a $781 plan,
Right.
the highest plan was $2,000.
Mhm. You'd be medical covered for free because you read it. Now, back in the day, this goes back before my time, they had Tufts as an option. Nobody took it, but it was the highest offered plan. The premium was, did one person take it or something?
Cliff did,
Yeah,
and he was about the only one in.
right, which offer, which therefore got the 50% so high that some people at the bottom plan were paying almost nothing for health insurance.
Yeah.
So then we actually dropped that plan, so we brought, so to speak, the down a bit. But the 50% of the highest has still been in there for, 20, before your time. It's been there, yeah, before my time. So if that's a change you want to make, I think that'd be consistent with probably other
Yeah, I think we got to be.
other plans. I would say other health services, I don't know if they actually offer a lot of different choices. I mean, if I'm a company, I offer United. And you can get United maybe PPO or HMO,
Yeah.
but the only one you get is United.
My wife gets.
It's not like I have Fallon, I have a menu of different providers. I have a menu of different options inside of one provider.
Do we have to offer multiple options?
It's pretty consistent, because I mean, you're gonna make, some people are gonna be better off with an HMO instead of a PPO or whichever. I mean, you're gonna get different options of the single, the family, is it one and one?
We have HMO and Blue Cross Blue Shield, HMO, sorry, Health New England. They offer the triple, you've got a double, single, and family. Blue Cross Blue Shield is just single or family.
And that's odd, because when we had Blue Cross at the office, they also offered the one-in-one, which was unusual that they didn't offer that for the town. Because a lot more people want the one-in-one. They don't want to go after those families when it's just a pair of people.
So is that a municipal thing? Because I know most businesses offer just one provider. Like my previous businesses, they were just offered a one provider, and then they had different tiers, different plans.
I think it's more the fact where with Scannick Valley.
Just Gannett Valley, they've got a full-
Scannick Valley does that, the GIC does that. The GIC offers 13 different plans from 13 different providers.
Mix with them.
Yeah,
So I mean, that would be a question for our rep to the next Scannick Valley meeting. I think they have consolidated a bit. Like you say, they're down to two now, right?
Oh, there are more.
No, in the two, one of the two providers, not ranges, but I mean, how many different providers are there?
I don't know if Tufts is still in there. You guys just chose not to offer it anymore.
Right, we could choose to drop the 50% of the higher and just, okay, we're gonna go to 70% of whatever plan you choose.
mhm.
If it's a $500 plan, 70%, 770.
Right.
I think that would be more consistent. Also
I'm
easier,
okay with
it's
that.
easier math for our
Yeah.
people as well.
Yeah.
Now, have we missed enrollment period, Tam, or no?
No,
Enrollment
that
is,
starts in the spring.
is- Yeah,
So
April.
it's
May.
coming up, so we're gonna get this done before that. I throw that out there for thought.
Let me understand this.
Oh, boy.
Well, we currently pay 50% of the highest plan.
That's the
Right.
credit they have towards their health insurance. bill,
Okay.
right? Okay.
So the highest plan that we have is $2,137,
Is it really?
right?
Who is it?
You have a
Yeah,
bill right in
we
front
have
of you.
about 5 or 6 people on it.
Mhm.
So we pay 1,000 something of that.
So
All
the
right.
family level of some plan.
Okay. So if I take this least expensive plan, $781,
At a family level, you have to have the same level, right?
right, $781. And we're paying 50%, we pay 50% of the highest,
Mhm.
then we pay for the whole thing.
That's
No,
not.
No
that's not
overage,
right.
but I don't think there's anything like that. At the family level, I don't think that 780 is not a family level for the lowest provider. That probably is more of a single, and it doesn't, you have to stay at the level to level thing. It's,
And by the way, half of the town employees, according to Dick, do not take health insurance. So we're only talking about half of the town's
And we
employees.
have never totally paid for somebody's health insurance. That's never happened.
I think that probably would be true of a single is down below half, but that wouldn't be equivalent because it's not family versus family, single versus single. But you're right, you could easily get down to where that person is paying 20%. Or even less because the offset is so high.
So we want this to say on July 1st, 22, the town will contribute 70% of the cost
Of the employees chosen.
of the selected plan,
of the selected plan.
Yes.
employees. selected plan.
Okay.
Clean.
And then 75 the next time. Nice, man. That works.
Let's do mine too.
Okay,
So if you want us to do mine too?
so you're gonna change that to the selected plan. What else you got?
I think, other than a couple of stylistic things,
Yeah.
there's no other substantive changes.
Okay.
I did think that I should probably add a paragraph stating that the town has adopted a new grade and step system for its employees. We haven't said that, but there's an effort, pretty consistent effort now to make sure that every employee that we have is part of the grade and step system. And the selectmen decided last year that a step would be provided every other year.
Right. Who says it's gonna be?
All right.
Who says it's going to be in the, I mean. That's handled at budget time, that's that thing. Right now, our guidance is every other year,
Every
it
other
could
year.
change.
You can change that. That was what was decided
Yeah.
last year.
I know, I'm saying, rather than put it in the handbook, I'm saying, because that's a fluid thing. I don't know if I put it in the handbook. That's based on your budget, on your needs, on, you could say we'd have a heck of a year, a bad year, and we're pushing steps off for a third year, it could happen. But somebody would point in the handbook and said, no, you said,
Yeah.
right,
All right, so leave that out, I think.
Okay.
We got the board committees and commissions handbook, and this is just.
Anyone want a copy of that?
I was searching through and I saw the MMA had something like this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not all my invention. This is kind of a composite of a number of different handbooks like this.
From the 17 towns you work for.
Yeah,
I like this one.
Yeah,
but I thought what we should provide this kind of advice
Oh, sure.
and information to each new member of a board or committee that we appoint.
Mhm.
That sounds like a good practice.
Yeah.
the board wants to spend some time with it. I don't think there's any need to adopt it
I
tonight.
think it looked pretty good right now.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's a nice job, Bob.
Motion to
So
approve.
recommend that we approve this in hand and instruct the town administrator to hand it out to the boards and committees.
Favor? All right. What we got there?
And is the employee handbook also, did you, part of your,
We'll look at it
Waiting
again
for the
next week.
changes.
all right,
After
okay.
the changes.
Mask policy,
I think you also have the current numbers from Jane. I mean, we are seeing a trend down, but it was not, I
Yeah.
mean, that 30 or 40% we thought we'd be seeing, so I recommend that we keep.
We
it
went
on.
from 108, I think, down to 93.
Yeah, so,
got it in the right direction, I have, right?
true.
All right, we'll keep it. Grants update.
Yes.
Okay, next.
What's that?
You updated, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Grant, Lester Grant.
Oh, look at this.
Was there more than one there?
I compared 21 and 22, so 22 so far. Just going quickly, community development block grant, we can't have one of those this year. We have to wait another year. Conservation agent grant, the district local technical assistance program, DLTA, is a chunk of money that they provide to the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And the commission in turn allocates some DLTA money for providing services to cities and towns. We're talking with I was talking with the town manager in Long Meadow, and the town administrator in Wilbraham is also part of this, about the problem of having a trained conservation agent. You recall last year we advertised, could not find someone. Other towns are finding the same situation, and so we, with the board's permission, will make a request with the town of Long Meadow and probably Wilbraham to the PVPC to allocate DLTA's funds to allow a staff member to try and put together a shared service that would provide a skilled person. In effect, for our Conservation Commission, we would still have a staff person doing administrative work, but our commission hires consultants to do certain technical work. This would be a substitute for that. We would share an individual who could assist with analysis and technical recommendations for the order of conditions that a conservation commission would then do. Council on the Aging, very small changes. They expect the 16,164 number for the formula grant to change when they integrate the new census data. That means their grant will probably go down slightly. Cultural Council up slightly. Dispatch, I talked with the dispatch supervisor, Mr. Gentile. He's on this, I guess he's on this call. Their applications go in later on this year for the grant funding. No indication that we will not be funded accordingly, as we expect. Fire department, those are some of the grants that they've applied for and have been awarded. Gaming Commission, obviously, we have just the one grant that we haven't spent. Highway Department, you'll notice that the Chapter 90 money went down slightly. Not a good trend.
And I thought there was a 10-year bond. I was surprised,
Yes,
you know?
there is.
Why has it changed then?
I don't know.
But I mean, it's a 10-year bond note, so I'm like, it
Yes,
should be fairly.
1,000 here, 1,000 there.
Hey, hey.
And it's calculated on the basis of road miles that you have, so, which I assume haven't changed. So, so they went down, then health, the Public Health Excellence Grant.
So
It
that-
is a
that number-
multi-year grant.
So that number of 287, seemed like,
That's not an additional 287. That's the amount that we're going to share for 3 years.
no, I understand, well, per year, or no?
Third, 3 years.
No, you said share for 3 years, each year 287,
No,
so it's shared over 3 years.
yes.
Okay, that was my.
Although,
Because here it says year 2, I'm like.
Yeah.
It's all, it sounds like it's more like,
yeah,
that's the amount we're getting in year 2.
I kind of thought that would be confusing, but.
I thought year 3 was the year they're gonna reevaluate.
And also, there may be additional funds in the out years.
Right, so do they send us a third of it every year, or do they give us the whole 287 and they say, make this last for 3 years?
The latter,
Oh, even better.
which we can, I mean, this will work. It's going to
So
work.
basically, it's almost like the 287 is under the left column and it's carried through 3 years.
Well, maybe I should make that
It
clearer.
almost looked like we got 287 each year. I'm like, it was really sweet.
Library, this is the State Library Commission grants to our library. Police, state grants, I added that. I didn't have this last year, but these are cherry sheet numbers. As you can see, they went up slightly.
Oh,
The most important category is UGA, unrestricted general government aid. That goes into the general fund, and we use it to support our departments. Veterans benefits down some. Exemptions are down some as well. And there's a separate grant for public libraries. In addition to what the State Library Commission provides, this is a separate grant on the cherry sheet.
this is the one.
You
that we have to-
qualify for this by, libraries must meet a certain standard locally for budgeting. And as long as you meet that standard, they give you this grant. If you don't meet the standard, if you cut library funds, in other words, you lose the grant.
But that's why we have to vote every year to allow them to spend that money.
That's right. And then on the back side, let's see,
Where's that Uber money, Bob? Come on, is that on the back?
Uber, I didn't add, that. I should probably add that, because what was it, $67?
Something like that.
The cybersecurity grant is a training grant. They're going to train town employees basically to beware of ransomware and other attacks that are happening more frequently. I gave you the total number for CARES Act funding that we spent, 313. Rescue Plan Act, culvert replacement grant, you know about that. Gypsy Moth grant, finally the state came through with that for 100. We're going to get 20,000 from the National Opioid Settlement Grant. That's an estimated amount, but that's what they told me that we should expect. And then last week I applied with the chief, with the fire chief, for a defibrillator grant, which will provide a new defib device for one that's one of the older ones in one of their vehicles. So we don't have an allocation yet from the infrastructure money from Washington, and state ARPA funds. I don't know where they are. I know that the legislature has passed and the governor has signed legislation, and we don't have any indication yet of what kind of funds we're going to get.
I mean, do you think we're gonna get any, or do you think the state's just gonna use it all?
No, we're going to get some.
You know,
It's 8 billion. And my understanding is that 3.5 billion goes to the cities and towns. So I think we're going to get a chunk of money.
Now, the money that they were talking about reestablishing or going towards the unemployment fund coming from the first distribution. That was the, remember that big time?
Yes, yes.
That was from the, not from the second plan.
Right.
There's also information on that too about fraud. Apparently there's going to be a big effort to do some clawback. You know, we've had this period for the last year or so when people have been somehow gaming the system and getting funds. That's France.
Moving forward, all right, building assessment.
Step it up, Bob, will you? Come on.
Building assessment, town hall.
Okay, I don't have I was promised by Architecture EL that they would update their proposal to update the 2017 Town Hall Capital and Accessibility Plan. I said to them, I'd like to see all buildings looked at. I said, I think we're in good shape. Certainly at the police department, we've got a project going at the highway department and so forth. And this plan would then be submitted to the Office of Disabilities in Boston, which would make the town eligible for grant funds. That's the name of the game. And they will provide grants up to $250,000 for accessibility issues.
But this isn't updated.
Pardon?
This is not updated.
I thought I would have the update by today. I spoke with the principal at Architecture EL last week, and he said, I will have the update for you next week, but it didn't come in today.
Just for clarification, they're also going to look into structural, mechanical,
Yes,
not
most
just
importantly, they're going to look at structural issues in this building
and mechanical.
and mechanical.
One of
Yes.
the heating,
Tell us what it's going to
ventilation.
cost. In other words, I said, that, among other things, besides accessibility, tell us what it'll cost to put this building in condition for the next 30 to 50 years. So at least when you make a decision as to what to do with the building, you'll know what it's going to cost to do the repairs.
Use of ARPA funds.
Well, we've already discussed that.
You know, what about premium pay? So they got the state, the feds have a premium pay thing, the state has a premium pay thing for people who work during the
Yes.
COVID emergency. And the feds finally seem to have come up with some regulations.
Yes.
You can't have work from home.
Right.
You have to, there's certain things, and the state has it, the state's supposed to distribute the money directly to essential workers by March 31st. So do we want to wait? Do we want to act on our own? Do we?
I don't know that
do this at all? Do we want to?
I don't know that it matters. I know that Springfield and a couple of other communities in the region have already done it.
Yeah.
So we'll use ARPA funds for it. So it's a matter of when the board wants to act and how much.
Well, that's the thing. I'd like to see a list of the positions you're talking about, the amount you're talking about. And.
Okay, we can do a survey on that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This one's already up for budget.
positions,
I'm
amounts,
a little, you know, the thing where they say, oh, you can't have work from home. You know, I think that's our call too. You know, we can look at that and say, yeah, but maybe some are different, maybe some aren't. Take this hit, and you interface with the public, you could say the transfer station employees still had to be there, still had to interface with the public. They should qualify, but they're not on the federal list.
Yeah, they are.
Transfer station, like
Sanitary,
garbage.
sanitary workers.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
thought they meant those are more the health agents. I thought they were talking about.
No, I think they're talking about
Disposal.
disposal,
Mhm.
if you handle things that other people have handled, you know, it's a transfer station, people will be out there.
Mhm.
You know, obviously the police and
Yeah.
I think one issue we probably have is with the call fire department. I mean, they may have been available, but did they respond? Who responded?
In the year we had, I'm sure there was at least once or twice they went out.
You know, so, you know, so those kind of
Well,
things.
they broke their stuff into groups.
Yeah.
So they had what, 4 different groups, I think?
I think so. So we can get all that together. So, okay.
But yeah, the hard list would be nice to see.
The senior center,
They
the
handed
senior
out-
center
They handed
director,
out lunches.
the senior center director talked about updating the server or whatever, their software.
Yes,
Software, yeah.
yes.
I think that would certainly be covered, because it's a public health thing.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to,
I think the reason they're updating those is because the old one is now becoming
Right, it's not,
obsolete.
as somebody who worked with Coach for quite a while, and that's the whole thing, and it's, I think it's more effective, yeah. Microsoft Works is gone, and now you have to get
yeah,
on.
there's obsolete, but I think that you could pay for that out of the ARPA funds. and get it going fast rather than waiting for a town meeting or something like that,
Okay,
you know? And then with the other rapid test kits, forget about it. Because you can get them for free, don't just by going online, send for it every house.
If you can get on the website today, right?
Yeah, my daughter got it. Of course, by the time I send them to it, the words will be over. Okay, next thing, discussion of on-site. I put this on there only because we started talking a lot about, you know, doing this last time,
mm-hmm,
you know, bring an entree in and that kind
Mhm.
of thing. So I mean, do we need an on-site person? I know some of the boards put their things on, some of them don't. Some of the departments put their stuff on, some of them don't, some are way behind, do they need help, do we need someone to come in?
I have to
What does
say,
Barim do? He can't even fix my thing, so I can get my things undone. I can't upload to the OneDrive. Well, sometimes I can. It seems I can upload to OneDrive on like Mondays and Tuesdays. The rest of the week, it doesn't work.
I'd have to say that the person who was like
Really?
responsible for the tech support for 10 years, basically, Pam. I don't think we have enough here for what that number is gonna be. And knowing what tech is, you're talking a $50,000 to $70,000 job here. We just don't have enough. I would say though, and I like the room, whatever, I just don't think we're getting the bang for the buck that we need from these people. And I think it's, you know, Pam interviewed a couple of companies. But I think we need to go back and say, a little review time.
Yeah.
There's a lot
You're
more
not giving
companies
us,
to look
I
at.
know you've been stressed, but you're not giving us what we need.
well, I think we can also look to do a bid. I know that there is another company in the area that does a lot of business with municipality, that had direct experience with them, they did very good. So that's one thing. The other thing that is emerging now, or has emerged, is that a number of the problems that we have with individual machines are fixable remotely.
Yes, which is.
That's
Yeah.
handy.
I mean, tomorrow, Barim is coming in,
Mhm.
and I'll have him look at this. But, you know, we could probably, well, this thing won't even boot up, so it can't be done remotely.
No, but the company that helps us, for instance, I didn't have a problem with map drives, and I called the guy, said, okay, I'll be right there.
That's right.
And fix it
Comes right in and
remotely.
fixes it, yeah.
Exactly. I will say, one thing I'd like to see, and I think I've talked about this before, having appeared in other towns, I like the fact, again, that they have the documents on the server and everybody just looked, okay, Bob said, okay, everyone see this, boom, boom. We've got paper out the window here. Thank God we have the dead trees to make all the paper. But it's so inconvenient for Don to go back home, sort through 5 inches of paper to find that one document when it's already on the server.
Yeah.
And that's where I would like them to fix Don's problem, like get his laptop up and running. And we're all looking at version A of the same paper.
And I think
I-
that goes back
I,
to what we were saying, though. If the way we're utilizing the OneDrive is not the way it should be utilized. So it's not, what you're saying is, yes, the server, we have the server.
Mhm.
The OneDrive is not designed to work the way we're using it.
Mhm.
Each individual person has a drive, but there's no central repository of information.
But you can sync those things together. That's why I don't want to have a VPN into the town server. I like to make the cloud storage of the OneDrive. And I think you said before, either SharePoint or one of
SharePoint would
those
be the option.
will do that type of thing. Right. But
Barim is coming tomorrow. I had a conversation with him today about going to SharePoint
Mhm.
and moving the files that we use down to the server, which we can do. The one problem with SharePoint is that you're going to have a VPN system into the server. If you want to go back to the server, that's the only way you can have remote access. Now, I can let you all know tomorrow when he's here, if you want to come in and have a talk with him, but that's the downside. And I said, look, I know members of the board are having some difficulty with the OneDrive. By the way, I don't.
I don't know.
What I love it because I hit one click.
Yeah.
And I'm into all the files that we have.
But I'd like a cost analysis too, because VPNs aren't free. And the more we open up, but I love the idea of when we get the budget time, you're popping that budget thing up on the screen. We're all looking at the same one there. Or I'm looking, again, because there's very small letters there. I'm using my laptop instead, looking at the same file.
Right.
The advisory is at home. They're looking at the same file, whatever our discussion.
I don't think the VPN is that expensive, what you're.
No, but also we get it to 10 or 15 of them. Now we're on a monthly basis, so.
Well, when I go into OneDrive, I go into OneDrive, comes up, it says OneDrive. Now I want to find a document. I have no idea where to look.
Well, that's our problem in terms of
Right?
indexing.
So I type in where it says search,
Okay.
and I'll type in, I don't know, budget,
Mhm.
and I'll get 700 budgets
Yeah.
that come up.
Well, that's.
But
catalog
that's us,
and
that's got
And
nothing to do
then you
with
gotta
it.
go, then you gotta try to find the budget, and then, or I get, or sometimes I get emails from, comes up the email from people I've never even heard of on there, but.
Well, that can be fixed.
Yeah, that's us, that's our naming convention.
No, I mean, I think what we can do, set aside some time, since you're all here, and I can go through the file system. By the way, it would be the same file system on the server if we go to that. And just tell you where to look if you're looking for something.
But it is confusing. First, there's a folder called boards and committees, and a folder called municipal boards and committees. Like,
Go
okay,
into select, go into
what's
select.
the difference? You know?
Boards and committees are the town's boards and committees. I should probably change the title of municipal boards and committees. I added that recently because that includes the two pamphlets that we're looking at.
All right, now,
Okay, this is pretty easy. Agendas, minutes, I'm sorry.
And go to financial. Click on it and you'll see
Right, budgets and stuff like that. Yeah.
budgets and also capital. Capital stuff is there too.
No, when I click on this, this is the one that syncs to my hard drive. It's live on his and synced at the same time.
So-
Downstairs, Chris. Yeah.
Capital files are under financial as well as budget files
Really?
by fiscal year.
That's my problem.
Right.
So I don't know
And
who
you know
has the
what?
ownership.
That
of it.
is your problem.
Huh?
No.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to talk to
So this.
But
The
I
room
don't
about
always
tomorrow,
save an
can we
updated
set up-
copy Either.
No, but this is one, I hate to say it, this is
OneDrive.
one, this is where I'd also like it set up by rights. For instance, you've got the FY 23 budget request. We're into it, but I'd like, how can you set it up so advisory sees the same thing as well? Because you want all of us working from the same hymnal. And
We
that,
can
to
do
me,
that.
that's correct, that would be.
We can, Barim, I can't do that, but Barim can give advisory access to budget files.
Right.
So when I talked to
So that they
Brent,
can see the same thing that we do.
he may have misled me, but he told me that I can't log into those files unless I log in as Bob.
That's right.
So I have to log in with his email account and his password.
Yeah.
To see that stuff.
Well, we can change that to something more neutral, but that's not my personal
No, I
OneDrive.
understand.
That's a town OneDrive.
Yeah, I'm logged in under mine, I see it.
Yeah, oh, I log in under mine, I have nothing.
Well, I had to be invited by Bob originally.
Yes,
So he had to invite me to share,
yes.
right? You had to send me an invite.
Correct.
So if you haven't
So
gotten
every
that,
single folder, yes.
no, just to share
No.
Bob's OneDrive. I could see
Just
it.
one.
Yeah.
Now, I have a personal OneDrive, which I use at home. And then the one that you have is a town
Right.
OneDrive. There's no personal files on there at all. It's all town files.
Right, but when I log into the town's OneDrive, it's the town admin's account.
Yeah.
It's not my account. It shouldn't be your account, it should be my account. So I don't know why that's getting lost in there.
right, because if you create a document.
It goes
created
to
at the
him.
bottom.
Yeah, it's under his name, his account.
Right,
Right. Well, the advantage of that is that all three of you and me and Pam can see all of those files and they're all the same.
Mhm.
That is the advantage. Until we want to create a document that's not shared at the moment, until we're ready to share stuff,
right.
then there's no personal documents. It's all town
And just
admin
save
document.
that in your own files.
Right, like Don, you were doing that.
You
In
can't,
your own personal.
because I have to
file.
log into Bob's OneDrive.
Except
If
when
I
you-
log, I have to log back
Except
out.
when they do that. then
But if
it
you're
takes
making your
2
own, why
days
aren't you
to
just
figure
saving
out
it
how
on
to
your hard
send it
drive?
or something.
Why save it on the OneDrive?
I'm,
Well, there's.
why can't I have my own access to my own OneDrive to access files?
I suppose you could. I mean, they could make an area there. If they're talking about setting rights for different areas, you could.
Yeah.
Right.
But anything you put on the OneDrive is technically,
Right, so when you go into your documents, it automatically pulls up OneDrive.
right.
So would you want to have a separate OneDrive, or would you rather have space on the existing OneDrive, which has my my email address, which we can neutralize that and say town of Hampden,
I think to John's
and
point,
neutralize the password as well.
See,
to
because
John's
mine is
point, we need
listed
to
as
hire.
OneDrive, town of
there's
Hampton.
one suppository for everything.
Yeah.
And then from there, you have the administrative rights of who has those views. That's what we need for Rim to set up, or set it up properly,
Okay.
the central location and then rights,
When I
Can you
click
come
on
in
it,
Oh,
tomorrow?
it's Jeff was
When he's here?
on-
possibly, depends on the time.
Which is what I
Make
want.
sure
That's
that he
great.
does it the way you want it to
And
be.
then every directory.
Okay.
Everybody's fine. And then under here, under board of selectmen, I would say we would have that if you want private folders, you know, private in terms of just private,
Yeah,
we're
it's
typing
individual
something not ready to
interaction,
share yet,
so-
but of course it's discoverable, whatever.
Right.
So did you click on Board of Selectmen and see how we've set that up? Craig wanted a folder for every meeting. And he wanted the documents for the meeting, the packet, basically, into each folder electronically, which is what I've been doing.
Yeah, I do the same
I don't
thing for
see
myself.
today's. Oh, no, sorry, what is that, 18? Yeah, okay, yeah, everything's there.
So everything that's printed in your packet is in there if you want to
Looks
look
like
at it.
Yeah, looks like it's in that directory. I see it here. It's called, when I go up to the little blue thing, it says OneDrive, Town of Hampden, up to date.
Yeah, and all I have is one folder that says Board of Selectmen, and it doesn't update. So I'm in the OneDrive right now, Town of Hampden.
Yep.
I click on that, and all I have is the agendas.
Okay, hit 18. Yeah, that's all the stuff there.
Right, but I don't have access to anything other than that.
You don't see the big long list?
Nope.
Huh. So it sounds like a rights thing, basically.
But that's when I talked to Barim, and he's like, you have to log into Bob to see everything.
Oh, I don't.
That's right.
No.
Yeah, you do. But
No, no, I don't
change
log
that.
in as Bob. and
Right.
think it- No.
I can change that to make the email address something more neutral, town of, or something like that, and I can change the password to make that
Right,
neutral, so
I
it's
don't-
not mine.
Yeah, but
I don't
I
think
mean,
that's the
when
problem.
you're at the bottom there, what does it say for the OneDrive? I mean, you hover over the blue. Yeah, same thing. It says OneDrive, Town of Hampden. It doesn't say Bob. It doesn't, yeah. So I think it's already been labeled, right?
Right, well, in order to see it, I have to log out and log in as Bob. If I want to see stuff online, where you click view online, I have to go into Bob's account to actually see the subfolders. So you click here, you can go view online.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a session with Craig tomorrow.
And then-
We'll have,
And then I gotta change my login, and I gotta log out of here and log in as Bob to get all the subfolders. This is the only thing I have.
So you just weren't given access by Brim or Craig or whomever.
I told Barim this, and he set this up, and then he says to me, in order to get the files you want, you have to log in as Bob.
Okay, go to your settings, because I just checked to see what my settings are.
Right.
And I checked on the OneDrive, just bring it up. Okay, go. Yeah. Account, and you are, yeah. See, so it's got to be a rights thing, because it's saying, I've got mine. And he gave me, it's rights to the whole thing, so just have to fix.
but we'll fix it, of course.
And then we're gonna don the sketch thing. It's like really, really cool.
I want to illustrator.
Oh, John Madden?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
All right, let's go. Let's do the budget, selectmen and Board of Health budgets. All right, what do you got there? I've got a question about the, I don't know, do we want to do a raise for ourselves here? No? They put it in for us last year. We didn't want it. Administrative says that's based on the 5% that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Football trail coordinator, town administrator. That's, we put 120 in because, right? We don't know. We're. Okay. 100, property and liability, is that a good number?
So wait a minute, Don, it's a little muffled. You're gonna add a 5%?
No,
No,
No.
so we're doing nothing with those right now.
Okay.
Those are all.
All right.
The property and liability, is that a good number?
We felt it was pretty good with the addition of new cars, basically the endorsements we have to put on, but I think otherwise,
Do we have a deductible for that?
yeah,
Mhm.
500 or 1,000, I'm not sure, maybe it's 1,000. I can check that.
I mean,
yeah,
that
is
the
there
one
a
we're
change?
short
I
on
mean,
right
we're
now?
upgrading cars as well. That's pretty much a minor change, not adding a car, but upgrading a car, like we get a cruiser. Does it go up a little bit for that as opposed to
Well,
when
depends.
adding a fire truck as opposed to,
Well, yeah, I mean, you're adding a fire truck, that's.
that's huge. I mean,
compared,
that's
yes.
a new vehicle as opposed to upgrade vehicle.
No, but all we do is upgrade. I
Yeah.
mean, all we do is get new. We
Mhm.
don't get upgrades.
Well, that last one was, I mean, that went up. First off, that was the one from the state. Were we actually paying insurance on that? That was one down, we turned back in or something. So,
What if we up,
one of the brush truck, remember, they got a truck that they traded 2 in for. One was actually had to be returned to the
Oh.
state.
Yeah. What's your question, Don?
my question is the deductible.
I will check that and
And
get
if
back to
we
you
raise
tomorrow.
the deductible, maybe we could save some money
Right,
there.
right.
Employee benefits, that's.
I talked to the treasurer about that. He thinks that that's a good number
Because of
because,
loss of employees. basically.
because we've lost the number, we've shrunk the workforce. And those who did leave the town's employment were taking the insurance, so that even
Yeah,
though
but
you're
as we
going up.
raise the insurance coverage, are we thinking we might get more employees jumping on? That's kind of like,
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about that.
yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
I mean, I can only just say that I did talk to Dick about it and that he thinks it's a good number.
Well, that's a guess.
Unemployment, can we get rid of that? We don't have any.
We don't have anyone currently drawing unemployment.
We make it a 0?
It's
You never
it's tough
know.
to cover if
Because
somebody comes in.
They bill us later on, right? We
Yeah,
don't pay us, they
we
bill- they
we
send us a
don't pay a
bill.
premium, we pay as you go.
As we
We
go.
pay as you go.
Insurance longevity, law and claims, let's see where that goes, right? School. Selectmen expense, how much did we spend last year?
I think we bumped it up a couple $100. Oh, yeah. Jane wants to buy more Christmas stuff for outside.
Yeah, forget it.
I'm sure that's like, but remember last year we took 5,000 on temporary help because we saw that was a drop.
Yeah, one of the.
Does the town report come out of this selectmen's expense, or is that separate?
That's a
No,
separate-
No, next page.
Thin one. I mean, different one.
One of
Mapping, I
the,
had them check that. That's what we pay that bill. And it's
Is it
good for
GIS
this year,
mapping?
same number.
Veterans benefits, academy halls, the same, transfer station, how's our testing going there?
It's actually gone up a bit, so that number is gonna cover. We usually return some, but it's surprising where they've taken a couple tests off, like benzene or something. But the cost of doing the tests that are remaining have gone up. So,
School building repair, 15,000, that's kind of standard, town events. Office equipment, 20,000, what are we buying?
well, I'd like to get a report from Barim when he sees the necessary. We covered a lot of things under CARES money before, but now going forward, if we need new computers, that's the account it's coming from.
So what's the difference between infotech and, is that what we pay entree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's for the Microsoft accounts, things like that.
Is that part of
No,
his
that-
service fees too, or is that billed hourly, right?
So we go about, like, yeah, we're covered there. Acquisition, we might look at, and we kicked this around before the Rizzo. Is it time to do something with that?
Good luck.
The copier downstairs.
There's a new round of community compact money coming out. And I know a number of towns have requested money and received it for purposes of improving the budget. One of the things that I think the budget should show is actuals for prior years. That would enable you to make, I think, better decisions. You could see what was spent in prior years. You're asking that question right now.
Well,
We can put that in the budget document.
You could, I mean, it's in the town report, but, you know,
Right.
postage, I am surprised postage hasn't gone up. I just like, must be mailing fewer, because I mean, it's up to what, 55 cents now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
55, yeah.
right, why not?
Even though we get a poll.
Custodial, that's the and townhouse maintenance, utility. What about gasoline? You think that's gone up?
I don't know, I mean, we actually carried quite a balance last time because it dropped so much.
Yeah.
This is funded at the number
I
one, it was back
question
in the
that, too.
$4 range.
I question that as well.
Mark just sent me some information on it today, so I'll get it out to you guys.
Okay.
A couple years
Contract price,
history,
yeah.
and it is, collaborative, and we have him watch the numbers, the guy who pulls it together for us. so.
Street lighting.
Yeah, that's kind of I mean, we're gonna be okay with the LED lighting.
Yeah.
But of course, as always, you're asking for, Bob, what was the number? 27% increase in utility, they throw that out there.
Yeah,
They get down to 12 and they're laughing on the way back. Hey, we would have been happy with 7. But you know how that game goes. So I do think it's prudent to put a little extra in there.
Now, you've talked about looking at purchasing streetlights.
Right. I
I
don't
guess
think
we
gotta
want to
put-
know if you want me to pursue that.
Well, I think we want to get a list, what are we talking? We should reach out to Pam Hill. Is it still Pam?
Yep.
Replace Joanne
Yep.
and get have a little meeting. Wildlife
all right,
control.
wildlife control. I should probably list, I had something like that.
I thought that was a lot of money for pump maintenance as well. Unless there's a new version of
Is that for
the
scanning?
software or something requiring an upgrade.
Is that for the pump that scans out?
No, gasoline pump. Yeah, so
Oh.
$10,000 to maintain a gas pump?
Well.
probably because
Well,
of
that's
state
because, that's
certifications,
a
right?
state requirement. They have to have an inspection. Looks like I looked at-
Okay, emergency management, traffic control.
Yeah.
Board of Health expense, public nurse, we're gonna keep her, I guess, right? Water district, and was there some question? had-
We're gonna probably need to up that. If we're doubling the size of the district now, testing is gonna require more.
Right, you're gonna need, are you gonna need a line for equipment as opposed to operations? I mean, you were talking about doing it, well, we're hoping to cover that under the. thing.
Yeah, the generator underneath the ARPA funds, but as far as testing goes, there's gonna be require more testing for Bob Flag to do. So I asked him last month for a summary of what he thought his expenses were gonna be going forward. I haven't gotten that yet.
This is offset by all the revenue you're getting from the
Yeah.
customers, right?
Big fat zero.
I thought you were charging 2 or 3 people.
I think there's 2 paying customers on
There you
the
go.
district.
That's 0.
Yeah,
Revenue neutral, good job.
all right, so we got work to do on this, I guess.
Pretty close. First block.
Pretty close, yeah, pretty close. All right, selectmen's reports.
Nothing here. We had a pretty low-key planning board meeting last week. Just a couple A&Rs, couple home occupations. Still concerned about what's going to happen with Powell Road, looking at maybe a turnaround at the end. That's something to explore with Kobe and Mark. At the end of Powell Road, right before the gate.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I talked to Parks last week. They were inquiring about plowing the park because they're gonna keep the park open for the winter. And Mark did end up plowing it this past snowstorm. He said he finished on Monday before the crew went home. So it's good news.
And we had a round table last Thursday night, and they're proposing that the Wilbraham and Hampden advisory committees and selectmen met in school committee. They're proposing to look into a joint grant writer for both cities, both towns. Looking at that. The other thing is that they're looking for is to create a committee to talk about the assessment and how we could fund it in a different way.
Well, let's go back to the grant writer. There was some confusion on my part on that. There was two different things I heard in that meeting. They wanted a grant writer specifically for the schools, or they wanted a grant writer to share between the towns for schools and municipal use.
Share schools and municipal share between the towns,
So not solely just.
not solely just for the schools.
Wilbraham used to have a grant writer. Was that Wendy Clarkson?
Oh, geez.
I think so, but they used to have a grant writer. Again, we talked about back in the day. Somebody once said, okay, we'll get a grant writer. They get 5% of whatever grant they get, but they get paid nothing. So it's all about working on commission, basically.
The way they were talking in this meeting, I heard the number, it was probably north of $100,000 position.
Right, with benefits, and all, sure.
Right. So yeah, now we're taking on longevity of benefits. Which town is paying benefits for that? If it's a shared.
I think you also get into, if you're sharing one person, hate to say it, are you really gonna be able to do all three entities with one person? That's a lot of work, and I mean, as someone who's known Gina for a while, just the school part was almost a full-time job because of the documentation required. It's not, and I think it was mentioned at the meeting, it's not getting the grant, it's following through at the end. You are spending so much time.
Yeah, the implementation.
You're not even seeing that at work, just the paperwork involved in drug work.
And can we get enough new
Sorry
grants?
about your drug work.
Can we get enough new grants that we wouldn't currently be getting to pay for the salary?
And I think that was
That's
Jeff
the
Farnsworth
question.
talked about that and said, okay, where's your market? Do you really think, I mean, what are you missing out on grant wise that this person is going to be getting to pay for
I
that?
think the question should be phrased, what grants did we miss out on? Because we didn't have somebody to find it.
And I think somebody said, well, it's hard to know, but I mean, we deal, as I said, in my business, we deal with almost exclusively school districts. A lot of them, the large ones, do it with a full-time person. They're applying for Perkins grants, health things like that. I mean, the federal money
Yeah, there's
is
all
important,
kinds of
but the
hidden stuff.
documentation is incredible. A MacArthur grant, all
Anyhow,
I don't know
that's
one-
on the board for discussion.
I didn't mean to sidetrack your conversation. I wanted to.
Given the grants that we have, I'm spending 15% or more of my time
those.
with administrative bureaucracy related to grants.
Sure.
And the new game is the money has to be used for programming. They don't give you an administrative cut anymore.
Mhm.
So a
Exactly.
lot of communities were paying for their grants person with the administrative portion of the grant. That's not done anymore.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I'd like to see how it's broken
But
down.
no, I think you make a good point. You gotta walk in with your eyes open.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh gosh, you paid free money and all of a sudden you got a bill for $150,000 to manage the grant department.
Right.
Right.
And no, not just that,
Especially if you
benefits.
can't- especially if you can't build the
401k,
grant for
retirement.
that money.
Yeah,
Right.
that's-
Yeah.
All right, town administrators report.
Okay, we've already talked about some of this. I applied for an AED unit for the fire department. Contract negotiations were begun with the highway superintendent. I was unable to start them with the highway union because the head of the union was ill. That's all going to happen tomorrow. I have a negotiation session set with both, and obviously we're going to discuss that in the exec session tonight. The red line review of the employee handbook and the board commission book. I did participate in the cybersecurity grant webinar. That's relative to the grant that we've received. And also, I think a very important presentation of the Treasury Department's final rule webinar, which I think I sent you the code to listen to that. I mentioned the contact from the town of Long Meadow asking if we would like to join them and share a grant to recruit shared conservation agent. Contacted Architecture EL about updating the 2017 plan. The accountant will create special revenue account which would permit the tree warden to resume trimming and remove hazardous trees, and he can bill against that account. Even though we haven't received the money yet, we have the signed contract, so with the state, so we're going to get the money. Town hall was sanitized on January 11th and will be sanitized every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. until the COVID surge has ended. Let's see, we've talked about already this whole business of SharePoint. And lastly, the fire chief reports that the Lucas CPR unit has been received.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
That was quick.
So
All right, I have two used car dealer licenses here. Robert Wren, Auto Sports, 31 Commercial Drive, and Felix Perez, Safe Auto Sales. What's the story?
Isn't Ren a chap we were saying lived in Florida? And
Commercial drive.
and it says he's at Commercial Drive, and then is he really there?
What did we find out?
He's 6 months and 6 months, and when the building commissioner did review the sites and he counted the vehicles, etc. Wasn't much of a party.
Was he able to speak to Mr. Ren, or he's?
No, he's in
Right,
Florida,
yeah.
and he shares that space with Steve Ferraro. It's kind of a setup.
Yeah. Has he wired about his business license yet?
Oh, yeah.
He has,
Oh, yeah.
through phone or through email?
No, he's been here.
He's been here, so he's in
But
town.
he's now he's in Florida, and he has a friend who is ready to pick up his license.
And the other guy, Perez, is, he has been.
He has been.
Police
down in
officer from
Dick's
Springfield.
old building.
Yeah, so he's one of the,
He's a,
with the sign.
Yeah.
He has a sign out front, signage on the front of the building.
yes. yes.
Required to have one parking place for
Yeah.
him. That way.
He's a Springfield.
He complies.
All right, the motion for approval of these guys.
I'll make a motion to approve Perez for a used car license.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And what
Did you
about
just sign
Ren?
it?
no, I was going to.
Oh, whatever happened there.
Well,
I'm not feeling, I'm not.
Are we good? We're still, okay.
Right, it's up to you. I'm not feeling the driver's license.
I don't have enough information on him. If he's not there, he's not selling cars. I don't,
I brought it to your attention when you first filled out the application, and it didn't seem like.
does he have a business model? I mean, obviously he's already been approved in the past,
Yes, he has.
but you know, if he's not living in town. I'm prepared.
He lives in, he shares a residence with his son in Belchertown 6 months out of the year, I was told. And he lives in Florida the rest of the time.
And he shares with Ferraro and
Ferraro.
So he's sharing a property with somebody that already has a car license. So there's already a
Ferraro.
license there from another sales.
And what?
There's already another dealer
Dealer.
license in that
yes.
building.
But really, if you drove down the road, you would see 4 or 5 RVs and not much more in the lot. I don't know
Okay.
anything other than that.
do you think you could have the son or some of a representative to come in, or you could zoom in to our
Yeah.
meeting, zoom in to our meeting
Yeah.
next time?
Let's hear from him, give him the opportunity.
Okay.
Present himself.
We have collective bargaining to enter executive session to discuss collective bargaining. I entertain a motion to do that, which we won't return to.
Motion to enter executive session for purpose of collective bargaining with the name groups in the agenda without a return to open session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Down there for you.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
right here.
This is-
I gotta stop recording, right?
Yeah, and then let it set up the.
Now,
conversion.